Hi, and welcome to My Mom the Lawyer, where career growth is rooted in law, faith, and intentionality, especially for first generation professionals. Those of you who are navigating the workplace without a roadmap. I'm sure even you have heard the term workplace harassment. But do you really understand what it is? And more importantly, what it isn't? It can be confusing. And if you're a first generation professional, like many of my viewers, this kind of knowledge might not come from those casual conversations at your dinner table or even at your college orientation. But don't worry, that's why I'm here. And today I'll break it all down for you. I want to be clear though. Let's start off first by explaining that this is not going to be an exhaustive lesson on workplace harassment. We don't have time during this video, although I will be hosting a free class and I'd love to have you sign up for it. We'll talk about that later in this video, actually. However, today you will leave with the ability to recognize workplace harassment, to know where to start when you encounter it yourself. And those two things are very important. You'll also walk away with 5 things, and that is workplace harassment. What is it? The legal definition. What it isn't. I'll give you examples, both of the obvious and the not so obvious. And of course, what to do if you personally experience workplace harassment. And then we'll review the employer's responsibility in keeping it out of the workplace. So, shall we get right into it? Workplace harassment is more than just a rude boss or an annoying coworker. Under the law, workplace harassment is defined as unwelcomed conduct based on federally protected characteristics like those under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. I talked about those in a previous video. And that conduct must, 1, create a hostile work environment, or 2, not and, but or, lead to adverse employment actions, such as a firing or a demotion. Now, I want to stop here for clarity because I want you to understand it's not workplace harassment unless you have these things: unwelcomed conduct, a federally protected characteristic that creates hostile work environments or leads to adverse employment actions. Let's talk about what those characteristics are that are protected under federal laws. Won't talk about the specific laws, but let's talk about the actual characteristics: your race, your color, your sex, your sexual orientation, your religion, your national origin, your age if you're over 40, your disability, pregnancy status, and genetic information. Here's an example. Your coworker sings explicit lyrics to a popular song, despite the fact that you've asked them not to do that around you. Over time, this creates a hostile work environment, and it could be a case of sexual harassment under federal law. Here's another example. A supervisor constantly tells you to stop using the phrase, "if God be willing," when you're answering a question. Is that workplace harassment? Probably. But on what basis? And if you're thinking religion, then you're going to be right. But not every insult or offense is harassment. Now, let's look at what doesn't count as workplace harassment. Rude behavior. A mean boss is not always a harasser. General workplace disagreements. Well, it's expected that there will be disagreements over work projects. It's normal. Performance-based discipline. Your manager can legally criticize your work. Unlike gentle parenting, gentle managing is not a requirement, not in the workplace. And then we have isolated incidents. This one can really be confusing because the Supreme Court has found that one inappropriate joke does not rise to the level of workplace harassment, even if it's racist. Let's look at some more examples. Your boss yells a lot. He criticizes your work harshly, and it's just generally unpleasant. That's terrible leadership. But unless it is targeted at a protected class or characteristic that we talked about, it's not harassment under federal law. Another example, your coworkers are gossiping about you. They're in the break room having a ball, laughing and joking about you. Is that annoying? I'm sure it is. But is it harassment? It's not. Not unless it's connected to a protected characteristic. Another one, coworker tells one off-color joke, and it's based on age. While it may be inappropriate and even age-based, unless it's repeated behavior or considered severe, it doesn't meet the legal definition of harassment. Now, that doesn't sound fair, but it's the law. And we don't have to like it, but we really need to know what it is. Let's cover the types of workplace harassment. Here's an example. Inappropriate touching, repeated sexual jokes, or a boss demanding dates in exchange for promotion. If you said sexual harassment, you would be right. Here's another. Racial slurs or offensive jokes about ethnicity. If you said that was racial harassment, you would be right. A boss constantly telling an employee they're too old for the job. Their age is over 40. Yep, that's illegal. It's harassment based on age. So, what do? If you're experiencing harassment yourself, if you believe you're experiencing workplace harassment, here is what you should do. You should document everything. I tell my clients all the time, if you can't prove it, it didn't happen. So write it down. Write down the dates, the times, the incident. What happened? Who was there? What did they see? Report it. You have to follow the company's HR policy, which should direct you to report the incident to an official of HR or the corporation. Failing to follow the policy could impact your legal options should you decide to pursue a lawsuit later. And then seek legal assistance. If the company doesn't act, contact the EEOC or an attorney who is experienced in employment law. You can reach the EEOC at eeoc.gov and then follow their directions on filing a formal complaint. Now let's look at the employers. What employers can do to prevent harassment. It is your responsibility, employers, to make sure harassment does not take place in the workplace. So you need to have a clear anti-harassment policy. You need to train employees on what that policy is. And then you need to encourage reporting without retaliation. Take the complaint seriously. Investigate promptly, and then take prompt, effective corrective action. Here's a fact. A company that ignores complaints can face lawsuits, bad press, and high jury awards. Now, workplace harassment is real, but it's often misunderstood. And today we looked at it. We looked at what it is and what it isn't, the types of harassment with real examples, what to do if you experience it, and how employers can prevent it. So if this video has helped you, then I'd like you to like and subscribe for more workplace insights. And if you have questions, please drop those into the comments. I review those comments, and then I consider those for topics for future videos. And if you need more help, please consider joining my wait list for the free class, The Law and the Workplace. If you're interested, email me at valerie@mymomthelawyer.org. And if you're the first in your family to walk this career path, know that you're not alone. My Mom the Lawyer is here to help you to grow in intentionality, in confidence, and legal insight every step of the way. we want to be here for you. That's going to do it for us for this segment of My Mom the Lawyer. So I'm going to ask you to join me next week where I will give legal updates and look into what the courts are saying about workplace discrimination.